Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing a tier list, and I did do a tier list already that was literally like 40 minutes long, but I want to try to shorten it down, and I'm not trying to make it that long. I mean, maybe like 15 or 20 minutes is good, but otherwise I want it to not be like that. So let me put on a timer so that I know. I want it to be 20 minutes. Okay. That way I know. So, let me restart this real quick. This was my tier list before, by the way, but I want to change some stuff, and I also want to make it shorter. So this is what it was before. So, um, let me see if I can. I want to reset it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So if you were curious to what it was, that's what it was. So if you guys want to just pause that and see what I had before, but now I wanted to change some stuff and I want to make it shorter. So I'm gonna be doing less talking and more of class, whatever. So some of it's gonna be the same, some of it's not gonna be the same. I'm gonna base it off how actually good it is, no matter what. So we're gonna start off with warrior. Um, arms warrior. Right now it's probably S tier, and then once it gets everything it needs, so warrior right now is great. It's super tanky. You get a lot of heals. It's really good. Definitely, I think we all agree that warrior is definitely up there and is one of the best specs in the game. Fury warrior, I have heard it's really good, but I don't know yet because people are saying it's better than arms, but I have yet to see one. So I think arms still is on it's probably because of sharpen. That's probably the main reason a lot of people don't like playing Fury is you don't get sharpen, and sharpen's a big play when you're facing because you need that huge MS. Like Fury, you can get up to a certain stance, but then it just falls off and you have to get it right back up. Arms, you get it at a specific time and it stays on there for the whole duration that it's up. So I'm gonna put this at A because it's still I've heard that it's up against Warrior Arm, so it could even be S tier, just like low S, or like just S tier. But Warrior is so far ahead of everything else that it's pretty crazy. So Fury's gonna go there. I'm putting all tank specs at D. Obviously, um, I don't have enough information on tanks yet. I know like Brewmaster's really good, and a lot of these tanks are actually pretty solid. But for the purpose of this video, I'm not even gonna bother doing I'm not even bothering it. So now we're gonna go with the next class, and let's go with Warlock. Now Warlock damage wise is really good. Defensive wise, it has a lot of CDs. I think Affliction is S tier. It could even be A tier, and the only reason I'd say it's A tier is because double melee just farm like melee farm casters to the fullest of extents. However, with the damage output you're getting off of Affliction Warlocks, it is just immense damage. You don't have to CC, you do nothing. You bleed every target, you sit there and you PvE. Now, it's the only arguable thing is double melee, and melees absolutely farm all casters and they will destroy you. And you still need to be pretty solid to play caster, no matter how much of a bot like it is. Because defensively, if you don't play good, like if you don't use your ports on damage and stuff like that, you're gonna get smacked. So between Destro and Affliction, Destro may be A tier. I know Affliction damage wise is S tier 100%. Definitely one of the best specs in the game for overall like damage. It's like unhealable damage. Like you can't dispel, and they just play with like an SP or any other bleed, and they just pump you to the ground. So it's an insanely strong spec, but Destro revolves around you. The instacats are really strong, but the main thing is your Chaos Bolt. And if you don't get precog, you're never casting a Chaos Bolt. So that's the only reason I'm putting this here is, for Affliction, you only have to cast UI, but for Destro, Incinerate, your Bleed, and your all three of your main spells, you have to cast. So it's a lot more difficult than if you were to play Affliction. Same thing with Demo. I know Demo's so this is without the tier list, by the way. So this is right now currently. So once we have full gear and tier list, the 4 set, I'm gonna go and after like new buffs. If you guys want to see more tiers, I'm just gonna start making them more frequently, or even doing what's the best currently to play or whatever. What's the best comps, etc. If you guys want to see more of this, let me know. I am going to be playing Outlaw and Assassination tomorrow, so there will be that video up. So I know a lot of people have been asking. So I will have an Assassination video and an Outlaw video because obviously the 15th is nearing. I have 2 more days. So we're going to have Assassination one day, Outlaw the other day, and then we're off to the 15th and we'll see what's goody from there. So pretty much I'm gonna put these at A tier. These could, I don't think they're S tier. S tier is like you got to remember, bloody token gear right now is a huge advantage. So people that have bloody token gear, they don't even realize it. But if you have bloody token gear, that gear compared to last season Bist and Slot is like 25 item levels difference. And a lot like so, if you see somebody with like 800 KHB or like 750 plus, when they're normally supposed to only have like 650 or 700, they usually have blue gear, which is allowing them to just absolutely just do unhealable damage. So there's the long specs. These could easily change, but for right now, I think this is a good spot for them to be in. Maybe even Affliction can be A tier just because, you have a lot of consistent damage, but the same thing, you're just getting melted down the entire game. So I'll keep it at S tier just because it's a caster, and it'll probably be my only caster at S tier. So we'll keep it there, but this could easily change. Next class, we're going to go with Mage. I think Arcane is garbage. It does no damage. It does no burst damage. It has no consistent damage. It's definitely the worst out of all three specs of Mage, by far. It could be B tier just because of it has a lot of it can get away quick. You have that 50% movement speed, and you can spam barrages to have all. You have a lot of you can get away a lot. However, with the lack of damage, you don't not only do you not get any burst damage, but the moment they click a single CD, you're literally doing like 10k a second, and that's about it. Now, if you can free cast freely, it's not bad. It's probably a B tier situation, but that's pretty sad because usually every caster that's by themselves and not getting focused, they're usually in S tier. But I'm gonna put it as C, and you guys can let me know what you think about that. Frost Mage, I don't think it's as good as a Destro or a Demo. I'd put it in B tier. It does have a lot of it's not terrible, but now that everybody knows what their burst damage is, it literally all comes down to if you kick ice, the ring of frost or something like that, or you just use on that ability, that's pretty much all their damage. They have that one glacial spike, but now it only hits for like 100k, so it's pretty weak for, a cast like that. Because it's already rare that you're gonna get a cast like that. So on top of that, it's only hitting for 100, maybe like 120, which is not, that's just not enough damage. So Frost Mage B tier, and then Fire Mage is good. The problem is it's still just even with bloody token gear, I am dying within three like globals. It's like ridiculous how fast I die. I've never in my life played a class other than Rogue and Windwalker. Like these don't even Rogue and Windwalker don't even come close. Like has to be the fastest dying class because you have to play it. It's forcing you to play that talent, or else you literally won't do damage. So I'm gonna put this as B tier. It has the burst damage, but if you just focus it, you're gonna win. More than likely, you're gonna win. It's like this is RMP. It's good. Um, if you're playing threes or twos, twos is probably pretty trash too. And the reason is mage just dies too quick. If you just click CDs and you just run down the mage, then you will usually win. Especially with now people are going to be playing warriors, and warriors is the tank. It's literally a tank. You can't kill a warrior if they know how to play with just spamming in Norpain and their heal all CD. You're never going to kill them. It's just they're too strong. They have too much utility. So, Warrior. So I'm gonna put this as B tier. It could be an A tier damage wise, but it's just overall it just dies way too quick. It's just not a class that you would enjoy. If you are looking to just not kite the entire game for 24/7 without getting hit a single time. But that's my mage spec right there. Now we're gonna go with Rogue, and this could be a little bit. I'm not trying to be biased, but I've really rarely seen assassination, but I think honestly these could easily all three be S tier or or I could put it like this. I just don't know if an outlaw is as good as a warrior. Like, I don't know. When you're trying to compare those type of classes, it's like it comes down to it. And is outlaw really as good as sub? Like that's what you gotta think about. if I'm just looking at the class, it's like you think you probably think it was S tier, but if you're looking at it against other classes, I feel like I think sub is probably S tier just because you get everything, and that's what makes the class great. If you get three things of everything, it's really good. Assassination has zero utility to survive because you don't get CDR. So when you get one vanish, one evasion, one cloak. After that, you're dead. There's no survivability, and you have to use all three of those cooldowns in the opener 9 times out of 10 unless your healer uses every ability. So I think the damage wise is great. It's like a Fury Warrior or a Fire Mage, or you have a lot of burst damage. But the utility wise, I just don't know. Obviously, I haven't really seen anybody playing Assass. I've seen maybe Naj play it like once, but it's like I just don't know. It could be an S tier. All three specs could be S tier, or they could be, or I'm just gonna keep it at A tier, but it could be S tier. I haven't personally played it, so I don't know yet. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think, but I'm not gonna put it at. I just don't know if that's. I mean, I haven't played, faced an assassination rogue yet, so that just tells you enough that sub rogue is just dominating. Even though I still have yet to face really any rogues, I faced like a few rogues playing rogue mage. They're just hard stuck 1800, but it is what it is. Outlaw rogue. I've heard this is really good as well. Um, is it as good as a sub rogue? Maybe. I think it's like a Fury Warrior, except I don't know if you get utility with this. Is it like in Shadowlands where you're getting, reset? Like I just like it comes down to, is it resetting your evasion and stuff like that? I don't know if it's like it is, but I think I'm just gonna since it's an easy spec, it's like DH. We're gonna put skill into the value of this and everything combined all together, where you're getting consistent. Maybe I could put. See, if we're looking at it from that POV, assassination isn't hard to play. You just I'm gonna put all these three at S tier, and I'm not gonna be biased about it. I think they're great. They're really fun. I don't think they're. I think the only one that's may be a little bit too overtuned, and the only reason I think it's overtuned is because Gormaw, uh, when it hits a little bit too hard. Now, if they would, you know, nerf Gormaw and make your Shadow Strike and Eviscerate damage go higher instead of relying off of that one ability, it would be 10 times better. I don't like it's like Secret Tech. You're relying off one ability to do everything for you instead of you generating your combo points and doing it yourself. That's what makes this broken and what makes it not fun, in my opinion. I don't like doing that. Like the one shot macro, I hate. I don't like playing those type of builds, and I don't even like using Gormaw in general. I think having your class should not be made your class should just be made to do the damage that is given. You shouldn't need a new spell to carry you. You either know how to play your class or you learn how to play. You don't just click a singular button and have it do half your damage. It's stupid and I don't like it. So I'm just going to be putting all these in S tier because they're the only one that's hard to play is sub, and both these just really is like a Fury Warrior. They can be really a little bit hard defensively, but as long as you just use on CDs and you have a decent healer, you're usually pretty good to go. You're not a tank like a warrior, but I still think these could be A tier, but I think sub is 100% S tier just because of Gormaw. If they would nerf Gormaw and buff Shadow Strike and Eviscerate, then I think it would be fine. But the fact is they have good utility. They're getting carried by not only Secret Tech but Gormaw. So it's not like you literally don't do anything. You click Secret Tech, click Gormaw. That's your only damage abilities. Eviscerates don't really do much, and if they do, it's because you're facing something like a Windwalker or like a Mage or something that's you're just one-shotting. Like otherwise, you're hitting like 60 Ks or 75 Ks even with blood token gear on. So if you can imagine, if you didn't have that on, you'd be having a rough time. So let's keep going. I don't want to talk too much. We're gonna go with Hunter here. Hunter is automatically second, or honestly, these two right here are the best that you can get. Sub Rogue is behind Hunter, and then whatever's behind that. Maybe like if we were doing it like that, it'd be like that so far. Actually, maybe Assassin's better, but whatever. You know what I'm starting to say. But yeah, I think Hunter and Warrior, these take 0 brain cells to play. There is no defensive. Other than Hunter, Hunter at least dies. Warrior is God. You do not die as a warrior. once you learn, especially if you don't even know how to play it, you don't need to know how to play it. That's how good that class is. So I think sub, just because it takes an actual, like, people might not think it takes skill to play, but it really does take, a good amount of learning just to be able to play the class, or else you're just like clueless the entire match. You just stunned. You're like, oh, how do I do damage? But you'd think they would know, but it's like there's just so many buttons that you have to do, and you have to do it perfectly, that if you mess up, you just won't see any damage. But next class here, or next spec, BM Hunter. I haven't seen many of these, but I'm gonna put this at a B tier, and the reason is you have consistent damage, but you die really quick, and your pets can be easily CC'd. You do have that freedom to get them out of a pet. It's just I haven't seen many of these, and I don't want to put it up against a Fury Warrior, a Destro, and a Demo when these classes are already like almost S tier, if not S tier already. So I'm not gonna put it at BM. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna put it as B tier, and that's gonna be that. Survival Hunter, same thing. B tier. I've seen a few good Survival Hunters be able to top off at about 100k a second and then 130k, but that's if they're all stacking, and that's just bomb damage. So I think it's good. It's just not the best, and there's a high skill gap on survival, surprisingly. You'd think there wouldn't be, but if you don't, utilize your bombs and you don't just keep spamming, you won't do damage if you do that. Like, you're gonna be clueless the entire time. And if you just use your burst off CD and you're just you don't know how to stack up your you don't know how to stack correctly, it's just not gonna go. It's not gonna go your way. So I'm gonna put a B tier. It could be A tier. Um, I'm I just don't want to put it up against a Destro Fury and a Demo because these are really really good. And then B tier is more of like it's still decent, but it's like these are way better. Now we're gonna go with the next class. We'll go with Druid. Boomy, I think it's in the same category. You have a lot of AoE damage. The problem is you don't your stars just aren't doing enough on your burst, and it's easily countered by the 3 minutes on your 3 minutes for a burst CD that already doesn't do much is a little bit. I mean, you don't get defensives. I mean, you could sit bare for them, but your heals don't do anything. You're not like an SP or an Ellie. You don't have them huge off heals. You're just like little baby healing. So you have really nothing defensively other than skim, which is like already garbage. If you have two melees on you, you can do nothing but sit in bear form. You have no bubbles. You have nothing to stop damage from happening. So I'm gonna put that as B tier. It could be an A tier just because you get CC with it, and in a 3v3 match, you can see it being good. So it has the chance to be an A tier, but at the moment, I'm gonna put it on an overall class at B. Let's go with Feral Druid. Same thing here. I think it's good. This is like before the tier and everything, and before we have best gear, so we don't know what it's gonna be like. But for currently, this is my personal opinion. So I haven't seen really much Ferals. They do die insanely quick still, and they do a decent amount of damage. But with how fast they die, and you know, it's not. They could be an A tier, but I'm gonna put it as a B tier. They're not terrible. They're not the best. It's whatever. Rest of the Druids, I still think Rest of the Druid, not only right now is it one of the best healers, if not the best healer in the game, but once it gets its tier, it will be a god healer. So we all know this. It's been god all season. I'm going to turn off my alarm here because we might be a little bit behind schedule, but whatevs. Um, let's see, what else? Let's go with Monk here. Mistweavers, I think I've every Mistweaver that I faced, two ports, walls, they're healing, they never run out of mana. Their healing is all instant cast, and it feels like nobody can die unless they're fully CC'd the completely whole time, and even then they have like so many outs to get away from you. You'd think after Trinket Port they'd be dead, but since they just don't feel like they die. They have revival. I mean, they just have a lot of utility. I mean, they're really good. They're a good healer, so I'd advise playing Resto Druid or Mistweaver. Now we're gonna go with Windwalker. Windwalker has a lot of burst ammo or damage and a lot of potential. I'm tempted. I still don't think Windwalker's as good as like a Fury or a Destro or a Demo. It's like Fire Mage situation. It has a lot of CDs, but those CDs, you have to click so many of them at a time that at the end of the day, you're clicking 2 or 3 CDs just to counter react one person's burst. So it's like you have the damage, you don't have the defenses. It can work if you play with a certain comp, but this is individually, so I'm gonna put it as that. And now we're gonna go with Priest. Disc Priest can easily be S tier. I think healing wise, it's not anywhere close between Druid and Mistweaver. Damage wise, it's really good. One of the best, if no, the best healer for doing damage. And the utility on this heat class is ridiculous, or spec, should I say. Because you get double PS, Dome, Swap, Rupture, or, whatever it's called. You give a lot of utility, you get a lot of damage, and a decent amount of healing. So it's definitely good. It's not as good as these classes, but if it's not S tier, low S tier, it's high A tier. So definitely a good healer to play, and definitely should check that out. But now we're gonna go with SP. I haven't seen much of these. They have a lot of utility, but I think they lost out on a lot of burst compared to the other classes. Like an SP is not going to do anywhere near an AFI or one of these other classes if especially if they're not free casting already. Even if a lock will easily out damage an SP even if they're getting focused. So that can tell you already that SP is not in the best spot. Has a lot of utility, has a lot of healing because the self healing is ridiculously OP. But I still just don't. It's a little bit could be A tier, but I'm gonna put it as a lot of these classes are B tier just because overall they're decent, but they lack in some spots where they need to be flourishing. Should I say big words? But for the next one here, we're gonna go with let's see. Holy Priest is another class. It's nowhere near Disc Priest. It's definitely a B or C tier. You have two Serenities. You have no damage. You have no abilities to stop damage from happening. You only have Guardian and you have Angel. And at the end of the day, it's not a dampener. You will lose once dampener. And since you're facing other classes that are meant for dampen, if you're not having a fun time as Holy Priest right now, definitely swap to Disc. Disc is way better than Holy and way better than H-Pow. Maybe even Evoker as well. So we're going to go with the next class here, Paladin. H-Pow, I'd say, is also B tier. It has a lot of utility. 1 minute sag, double bop, bubble, trinket, lay on hands. That's already plenty. You have a lot of burst healing with wings. Um, and it's definitely good. It's not as good as a disc right now. Maybe it is. It's definitely better than Holy Priest, but it might be below um disc. So I put it at B tier. It could be low A, but B tier I think is fine. Ret Paladin is definitely a really good class right now. Their burst damage, if left handled, like if you don't perma CC their wings, they will do like 100 to 113k a second. They do a lot of damage. They have a lot of utility, and they have a decent amount of healing for the team. I'm gonna put that at A tier because overall they are doing really good. They're not as good as like an outlaw or S tiers, maybe not even a fury warrior, but they're definitely A tier. They're definitely good, not bad at all. Now we're gonna go with DK. Froth DK, same thing. You just don't have the burst damage like other classes do, and it's like a sub rogue. If you don't have burst damage, you're just not you're just a CC bot, and nobody wants to be a CC bot on a DK. You're meant to just be doing a lot of damage, and it's fun to have setups, but when you don't have damage for those setups, yeah, it's not really worth playing because you can do the same thing on Unholy DK, and Unholy DK is too like way better. Unholy DK, overall, I think it's great. You have AMS, AMZ, you have Iceborne, you have two grips, you have perma chains, you have pet kick, your kick. You have a lot of abilities to stop people from doing whatever they want. So I think with everything combined, I think they're also an A tier class or spec, should I say? They're not. They're probably a little bit worse than the Ret. Maybe better, maybe worse, maybe high A B tier. But I think they're in a decent spot. They might not be as good as like the S tier, but like that's just how it's gonna be. Not every class is able to play at S tier rank because it's Blizzard. They're only a multi-billion-dollar company. You got to remember about that. That's very cheap nowadays in the company industries. So now we're gonna go with the Evoker. I think this is a really good one still. If you are playing with especially a DK that can grip in, or a Windwalker that can stun for you, or a Rogue, there's a lot of things that can go well, and it has a lot of burst damage. You have a decent survivability, and you have decent off heals for your team. So overall, a really good spec. It's not as good as a Fury Warrior or the top B tier. these three could, or they could easily be S tier. Just don't forget that. But since I don't know enough information and Destro's, it just there come down to you have to play really good as a Destro to make it work. Surprisingly, same thing with Demo. If you're just getting kicked and it's if you're not getting precog, you're not able to play as these. You have to be getting precog every like other cast, or else you're getting kick, stun, incap, stun, grip. It's not having a fun time. So there's that. So now we're going to be going with the augmentation, really good as well. Now, people seem to forget this is a support class. This is not a class that's meant for huge dam. So the moment it's not as good as an S tier, nobody wants to play it. It's still really, really, it's literally not even meant to do damage. But since Blizzard doesn't know what a support class is, they gave these guys a one-shot macro, and everyone seems to think it's bad. It's really good for support. That's what this class is made for, support. You get everything. You get a little bit of damage, and I don't know if it got nerfed with damage, but it's still really decent. It's definitely an A tier, low A, maybe medium A. Really good overall. I'd definitely check it out if you want to be a support type class and still be a DPS. For the next one here, Evoker Healer. I think it's not S tier, but it's behind the Priest, but ahead of the H-Mount, just because it's like a Wrestler Druid, but you get a decent amount. You get Emerald, you get a bunch of stuff. It's definitely below, but it's still good. It could be ahead, but with how many I've been seeing, I'm definitely gonna go Disc over Evoker Healer. Wrestler Shaman is also a really good one. Um, Honestly, I've seen more Wrestler Shaman, and people have seen like people have been saying, and I've seen like more people have fun. Like when I watch Foxy play Shaman, he's having a lot. He's having a lot more fun on Shaman, surprisingly, than he is on Disc. Like when I see him play Disc, he's getting everyone. He's at like 20%, and he's just not able to heal it. If you're playing with good players, it's not bad. But if you're playing with players that just want to have fun and shit, it's like it's whatever. So there's that. So I'm gonna put it ahead. It could be, below. It could even be below here. I don't know enough information. However, I know it is pretty solid if you're playing with decent players. Same thing with Disc. You got to be playing with somebody that has at least a brain cell, which is all that you need for WoW nowadays. DH has a lot of damage output. Definitely a easy skill class to play, and it does a lot of damage. Definitely an A tier, maybe low A. Definitely not a warrior, but it definitely has the damage output of pretty much probably the best AOE melee altogether. They do a lot of damage. You have decent utility. You do die kind of quickly since you're not a plate, but overall really good. Enhancement Shaman, same thing. You have wall, you have underground, and it's at the end of the day you have decent heals, but the burst damage doesn't you know it's not enough. Like if you're going for procs, that proc needs to like literally like 100 somebody in like 3 seconds, 4 seconds max, and it's just not doing that anymore. So it's just not really a good class to play. Ellie Shaman, all instant cast. Really, you just flame shock everybody, wait for procs, and then you just lava burst, earth shock, lava burst, earth shock, flame shock, and that's pretty much all there is for that. Definitely an A tier, has a lot of damage, and you don't have to cast, so that automatically gets up there in the casters. Right now, I would probably put it behind Demo and maybe above Demo, below Destro. And I think that's it for the tier, boys and girls. Um, it looks like that is it. Now maybe I could put, Assassin Outlaw below here and maybe put Affliction below here as well. But I think I'm gonna keep it where it is. Until I play it myself, I'll realize how good it is or how, if it's not as good as another class. And maybe, once we have full gear, I'll do another tier. You guys will have to remind me to make one if you guys want to see another one. Make sure you smash the like, comment, and subscribe. I will be playing Assassination and Outlaw, like I said. So hopefully you guys want to see that. But I will see you guys in the next video. And that's all there is going to be for tonight. And hopefully you guys did enjoy. Smash the like, comments, and subscribe. Join the community Discord. And if you would like to support the channel, go to the description. And there you go. But peace, boys.